Hi there folks, and welcome back to Illustrating Edibles. Remember, consult a local skilled traditional knowledge keeper, forager, or botanist before ingesting any plant life you encounter in the wild. Full disclaimer, I chose this plant because of the amazing pun it has in its description, so warning, incoming pun later on. I found it so interesting how this flower's name seems to juxtapose with how it looks. It's the Bitterroot, and yet we have this beautiful pink-colored flower. I wonder if at first it had a more flowery, ethereal name until people started eating it, and they thought, well, that name is very deceiving, and that's gotta go. And then some good old-fashioned Googling revealed that its Latin name, Luisia rediviva, specifically meaning revived or reborn, refers to its ability to regenerate from dry and seemingly dead roots. So something so beautiful can come from almost nothing, and even if something beautiful doesn't happen, what's left still has purpose and utility. Take that as metaphoric or not, as you want. So diving right in, the bitterroot, or the Luisia rediviva, is from the purslane family, and it's an herb. As a food, the bitterroot was an important staple for many indigenous nations in the West, but Europeans usually found it too bitter to enjoy. That was the pun. It was described by Thompson during his expeditions for the Northwest Company in southern BC and the adjacent US, and by Lewis and Clark when their US expedition reached present-day Montana. The starchy roots were collected just before the plants flowered, when the bitter, brownish, blackish outer layer could be easily peeled off by rubbing between the hands. Removal of the extremely bitter orange-red heart and storage for 1 to 2 years was said to reduce bitterness, though some people say that stored roots become increasingly bitter. So who's to say what's correct or not? Peeled, cored, and washed roots were pit-cooked, steamed, or boiled in watertight baskets using red-hot stones. They were sometimes eaten plain, but more often they were mixed with berries or powdered camas roots. Added to soup, an example is fish head soup, and stews. They were used to thicken gravy or used as an ingredient in fruitcake. They were also cooked with black tree lichen, dough, and fresh salmon and made into a pudding. Extra roots were dried for a few days, either loose or on strings if they were large roots, and stored for future use. A 23-kilogram bag of roots was considered enough to sustain a person through winter, and it took a woman 3 to 4 days to gather this amount. The brittle, white, dried roots were reconstituted by soaking and boiling, during which they could swell 5 to 6 times in volume and develop a jelly-like consistency. As a medicine, the roots were ingested to treat diabetes and poison ivy rashes. A poultice of raw roots was applied to sores, and the pounded dried root was a remedy for sore throats. For other uses, the dried roots were an important trade item. A bag of bitterroot could be traded for a good horse. So keep that in mind if you're in the market for a horse. Just go out and gather some. The roots were often traded for dried salmon and other items. This low perennial herb stands 15 to 20 centimeters tall, with fleshy, club-shaped basal leaves 1 to 5 centimeters long, from deep, fleshy taproots. Flowers can be deep to light rose pink, sometimes whitish, with yellowish to orange centers. 4 to 6 centimeters across, with 12 to 18 lance-shaped petals, and 6 to 9 pinkish oval petals. Borne singly on 1 to 3 centimeter tall stalks above a whorl of slender bracts, from April to July. It fruits oval capsules with 6 to 20 dark shiny seeds. It grows in dry grasslands and open forests at foothill and montane elevations in extreme southern BC and Alberta. So there's a warning here. Dried bitterroot swells in the stomach, so it should not be eaten in large quantities. I pity the fool that had to discover that. Also, this beautiful wildflower is becoming increasingly rare as a result of overgrazing in human population. It should be harvested only in an emergency. So I suppose we'll have to forego gathering enough of it to buy a good horse. So during this video, I changed up my narration style a little bit. Do we like a more chill ASMR style narration, or do we like it a bit more bouncy, a bit more animated? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're a little more relaxed than when you started, and I hope you learned a little something. Take care.